Hello my friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. If you've been around us for any length of time, you know that we always have a project going on. And yes, we have another project going on here at Production. This has been one that is not the most glamorous project, but it is an absolute necessity. And we're gonna have a lot of people who are happy about this project. We have our sweet friends, Justin and Ernest from Carolina Landscaping. They are here working with us yet again. These are the fantastic folks who have poured all of the concrete here at Creekside. They are a fantastic local family company. Y'all, they're not paying me to say this, but if you have a project at your house, they do residential, they do commercial, anything from like concrete to retaining walls, you name it, they do it. They are fantastic. They are a joy to work with. So check them out. I'll show you their truck here in just a second, so that way if you need a phone number, you can give them a buzz route. So what are we doing? I know, I get so excited about this, I get distracted. Okay, so we are here obviously in front of the greenhouses up at the production house. So we're installing more sidewalks and a loading dock. That is right. I tell you, never in a million years would I have thought when we started Creekside Nursery 20-something years ago that we would be having loading docks being installed, but it is a necessity and we are so stinking excited to do it. So they are just getting started. So let me flip the camera around and let's talk about exactly what is happening, and I'm going to clue you in to another expansion project that we're going to be doing here probably next summer. We're going to get through the growing season as far as the production season, and coming in 2026, which will start in, oh my gosh, mid-January. So we're going to get through that, and we got another project coming. Always projects going on around here. So let's take a closer look at this one. All right, so we're going to start at the with the easy part of it. This is going to be the simplest part for me to explain to you. So Justin and Ernest were here, oh gosh, was it a year ago? Maybe it was, where we had them install a sidewalk that went from the dry storage all the way to the big house. And so this is really important that we have the sidewalks a smooth surface as opposed to just gravel because of these carts. So you can see we got a new delivery of carts. So these are the rolling racks that obviously have not been assembled yet, but this is what we put the plants on. So when you place an order and we're going to pick in your order, these are the racks. They have obviously the bottoms, but you can see that these tires, they are not those pneumatic tires, and they do not do well on gravel. However, they do great on concrete. So this is really important because you've got to be able to go from the house into the annex to get these plants ready. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this sidewalk here, and we are going to run a new sidewalk all the way in front of the other two houses. Before we do that, Jerry's gonna have to install a drainage catch basin, because between the dry storage and the greenhouse, we do not have a catch basin or a French drain. And you can see just from that little bit of rain that we got last night and or dew that's on the greenhouse that this stays pretty damp all the time. So they're going to put in a catch basin here so that it can catch all that water, have this sidewalk from here, that's probably 8 feet, I would say, somewhere 6 to 8 feet deep. And so it's going to come all the way across and will go all the way to these two greenhouses. The reason that we want to do that is, of course, because that way we can have those rolling racks that can go wherever we need it to go on the property. Also, because we're putting a loading dock right here, when those trucks come, whether it is trucks that are bringing us like packaging material, whether it is a delivery, maybe it's fertilizer, or maybe it is those sweet little baby plants that come to us in January, February, March, and beyond, they've got to get from the loading dock to the other areas. So if you can see, there is quite the grade difference here. So we have got a high and a low. Thankfully, we've got some fantastic folks that understand all of this, and that is what they are working on kind of right now. So the loading dock is going to be right where Jackson and Ernest are standing, and you can see that orange spray paint. So Ernest is standing right inside of the dock. So to the right of Ernest, where this orange is, like right here, is where the trucks will pull straight up to, and it'll be a 4-foot wall right there. So of course they'll have all that reinforced. So we're gonna have the dock here, and then, so basically you're gonna have the flat edge of the dock right here. This is where the trucks pull into. And then because of the grade, so the concrete will come up this way. Of course, this will all be retaining walls, right? Reinforced with rebar and all the things. So come up here, and then we have this angle. So this orange spray paint that you see, and then that ties into the concrete. So everything, the concrete will be level with that greenhouse. So all the way up here, they've got to build in all of this area. There will be that retaining wall right here, reinforced with rebar. It will have a slight fall towards me, so that way water doesn't stand on it and or even go back into the greenhouse. So what Justin is doing is digging out for the footers. And they were actually supposed to come here, I think at the end of this week, but they had the job that they were supposed to do. You know how it is with construction and everything. If one thing gets delayed, then it pushes back the whole project. So something that they were waiting on to happen so that they could come in wasn't ready yet. So they called Jerry this morning. They're like, hey, can we come over and start working? And of course, Jerry was like, yes, please, absolutely. So that's why they're here today. And so you can see that he has got that first footer already dug out, and then he's gonna go towards the other side. We did have to be very careful because, of course, the fiber line is right here. That high-speed internet fiber line that is dedicated, but Jerry was able to find it. So that is what is in this ditch right here. So they're plenty ways away from it, so they won't have to worry about that. And then, of course, it just runs up alongside the greenhouse right there. So no worries on the fiber, but it is going to be fantastic. Maybe this will show you a little bit better of how steep this is. It is such a steep grade. And so that's why, of course, you're gonna have to have all the rebar, all that reinforcement to have those walls built to hold up that the dock. And of course, we're going to bring you along for the ride the entire time. So we are supposed to get rain starting tonight and running through tomorrow morning. Not sure exactly what that's going to look like as far as like how much rain we get and or what it does to these holes. But thankfully it is a lot of rock right here and it will drain really quickly. And so they've got to, like I said, put the rebar in there and all those reinforcements and build it up. So hopefully this project will get done this week, because after tonight, tomorrow morning's rain, then I think we're going to be good for a couple of days. So they feel good about getting it done until then. And so, yeah, so they are just working. Of course, Jackson's in heaven getting all this done. So once he gets it dug out, it'll make a whole lot more sense as far as exactly where you can see what's happening. All right, so we're going to let them work. Then we're going to come up here and let's talk about the other project that is going to be happening. So as most of you know, Jerry and I started Creekside Nursery about 20 years ago, right? So we started at growing vegetables and going to our local farmers market. And then if you've been around my husband for just a hot second, you know that he is constantly dreaming and thinking of what can we do next? How can we change the business? How can we add to the business? How can we make it, of course, obviously more profitable, but like how can we diversify the company, right? So what can we do to be the absolute best at what we are doing? And so it does kill me that we are actually, one, putting in a loading dock. We have all this production up here. It is just beyond nuts. So the next step is being the most efficient with the resources that we have. And of course, we have the potting machine that is located currently in the big production house. Y'all have been with us many, many times on videos where we are in that production mode and we're potting up those baby plants, right? So whether it's annuals or perennials, whatever it is, that you've been with us and you see that whole process. Well, let's just walk in here. We'll talk and walk. So the quote problem with the potting machine and having that production in the confines of the greenhouse is that it takes up very valuable resources and a footprint in this greenhouse, because of course we need the greenhouse to grow plants, right? I mean, that's its primary purpose. And we have, of course, now the potting machine is in the greenhouse, which is both a blessing and a curse at the same time, because we can work in here, we can pot up those plants. We're not, exposed to the elements. We've got room. You can see, like in here, we've already got the storage, and so we've got like pots that are arriving, trays that are arriving. You can see back here, those are those rolling racks that I was talking about earlier. We have conveyor systems set up. Everything is in here. We got a couple of hellebores that are growing in here, but right now it's pretty much empty. So having the potting machine in the greenhouse is very nice, because last year it was snowing, we were in here potting up, but like I said, this potting machine and all of these other elements that we have in here do take up a lot of space, and all of this space that you see could hold plants. So when you're looking at that potting machine and where it is sitting, not even talking about the conveyor belts that go with it, and then you have people in here working, we lose a lot of real estate from this machine. So there is no really quick answer as to what to do. Because he has thought about this and talked to people. So the only real solution to this problem is to remove the potting machine and all of the supplies in here that we have to have, get them out of this greenhouse and get them into a new building, because this is not even all of our pots, y'all. So these are got some trays, we've got different ones, but we have a lot more that will be coming, and plus we have to have soil in here, because while we are in North Carolina and our weather is pretty mild, we do have cold temperatures, aka even like this week. And when you have soil outside, it is that bulk soil, but it will freeze. And so you cannot take a frozen, massive, block of soil and dump it into the machine and expect good things to happen. Doesn't work that way. So the solution is we are going to be building another building. Why, yes, we are. Imagine that. Creekside is expanding and has another project. Now, again, the timeline will not be until we get through the spring planting. So really, it will be happening about this coming summer. So the summer of 2026. Probably, I'm thinking the earliest we could start maybe would be like that June, July, in that area, because we just don't have the time to do it right now, as far as like to get the project completed before we have to start planting. So what we are going to do is we have an amazing friend, Brian, who is way smarter than I ever could be, and his brain just works in a beautiful way. And so he has been helping us and has actually drawn out a to scale, like a building that will house the potting machine and then all of the elements that need to go with it. So basically it is going to be in this general area right here. The building is going to be 30 feet deep, so from me back 30 feet, and then 30 feet long, because we do have, you know, quote, limited space to work with here, because we do want to keep kind of an access road behind the building. So the building essentially will go somewhere like in this area right here. This building will house the potty machine, it will house the rolling racks, it will house surplus soil that we can have on hand so it doesn't freeze, all the pots, all of those things that we need. So within this building, it is Brian has laid it out perfectly that we can have the different elements that we need to have in there. And that's why between having the building and then having these sidewalks is such a valuable thing, because you've got to be able to move those rolling racks around. So the idea is, and I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to work out. You know us here at Creekside, we just kind of go with the flow, and we think we're going to do one thing, and then time actually comes to happen, and then something else happens. But I don't know that I don't know what the plan is as far as like, will we be actually potting in there? Will we move it into the greenhouse and plant in the greenhouse? I don't know. I suspect we will be planting in this new building and then moving them wherever it is that they need to go, because we do have, of course, to think about pretty much the new house. The big house is where all of the e-commerce plants get planted, right? That's where they grow. So we have all those annuals in there, the perennials, depending on the season, the shrubs may be in there. But pretty much the big house is for our e-commerce, and then our other two houses plus the greenhouse down at the garden center, this is for the garden center itself. So then we'll have those plants in there, because we do keep those two inventories separate. Our very first year of doing e-commerce, we tried to have just one inventory and no. Does not work. So that's why sometimes it's confusing, especially like in the spring, and we'll do like a garden tour or a nursery tour, and I'll say, oh, well, we have this XYZ. While there is massive overlap between what we have on e-commerce and the garden center, they're not the identical inventories, because we do have to keep them completely separate from one another. Otherwise, it is a logistical nightmare and we will all lose our minds. So as of right now, we don't think we're going to have to remove these two massive trees behind us. I am not one to go willy-nilly take down a tree, but once we get closer to that project happening, we'll know exactly what we will be doing and what we have to do. But that's very exciting to have yet another expansion, so that we can actually have the facilities that we need to have all that potting machine and the supplies in there, and then it will open up a ton of room in the production house, because if you are a grower of any sort, or have a whether it's a gardener, a home gardener where you have limited space in your garden, or you're a big, huge, massive, 10 times bigger than we are grower, then space is extremely valuable. So this will help a ton. All right, so I'm gonna give the fellas a little bit of time to work here, then we're gonna go check back and see how they're doing. So they've got 3 of the 4 sides dug out. Of course, right now they're doing all that final grading. So again, they're digging this out because this is where those footers will go. But oh my goodness, again, way smarter than I am. So glad to have them here on this project. It just makes they're great to work with, fantastic to work with. So yeah, it'll be a huge help to have that dock in there. I know that all of our truck drivers are going to be super excited about this. Jackson and Jerry are going to be very excited about this as well, because every time a truck comes, it has to be unloaded. One of the 2 of them have to come and unload it. So now we don't have to worry about that. Anybody that's up here can easily unload it with some pallet jacks, and or the truck drivers can easily unload and just put it here and we can wheel it in to wherever it needs to go. We will definitely keep you updated on this project. So in the coming days, as this project progresses, of course, you'll be along for the ride. It's always an adventure here at Creekside, but being the most efficient and productive that we can possibly be at the business is what it is all about, because it just, in the long run, as you know, if you have all the right tools in place and all the right systems in place, whether it's at your home or at your business, wherever it is, it makes life so much more enjoyable and easy. So this is that time of year where we're going into doing these projects. Again, not the most super exciting perhaps project, but it is one that we are all excited to have done and excited to have the Parkers here working with us to make this project happen. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated throughout the week and in the coming days of how this is going to happen. As always, we hope you found this fun, informative, inspirational. Y'all have an amazing day. We will see you in the next video. Bye, friends.